Hi guys, I wanted to hop on here and for some time talk about the law of magnetism or the law of attraction. Now, this also ties into the concept of manifestation and bringing into existence what we want. Now, even when we speak this way, we have to be very careful about the way in which we talk to ourselves, because to discern between what we want as a person, as a ego entity, and to discern what the soul wants are two very different things. And you can spend a lot of time in your practices and in your journey trying to discern what the ego wants. And ultimately, what the ego wants is always going to be based on a position of falsity. And it is only when you start to descend your consciousness into the body that the systems of intuition are activated and heightened within you. And until that point is reached, one cannot discern ego from soul. It will be impossible. And so it's only when the energetic currents that flow through the body naturally are freed up and they are able to flow spontaneously that we can even begin to manifest. And the paradox of the situation that a lot of people find themselves in is that they're trying to manifest what the ego wants. And you only manifest ever your soul's calling, your soul's destiny. You will always struggle to manifest anything other than this, because your destiny is where your soul is designed in this life to head towards. And it is very useful at times and in an ongoing manner to study all of the systems, all of the different teachings, traditions, perspectives, and paradigms of consciousness. Because if the mind, which we can call the ego, is not sufficient, it is not strong enough, it will not be able to hold in a stable manner the influx of consciousness into the body. And that's why when some people have these heightened spiritual experiences, they get very high and they're not able to bring it into their life. They're not able to embody the truth that they have realized. And it is one thing to have awakened mind, to be awakened to the nature of mind, but it is another thing to be awakened to the nature of heart. And these two must learn to work together in coherence. I see lots of people with awakened heart, but no awakened mind. And I see many people with awakened mind and little to no awakened heart. And it's not to say that one should happen before the other, because each soul's destiny is different. But until these two arise and start to learn how to communicate together, there will always be an inability to manifest. But one learns more and more that the ego is not to be banished or to be destroyed or to be shunned or pushed away, that the ego is nothing other than a tool. It is a tool that you use, that until we have sufficient maturity, we do not know how to use it properly. And this is why the structures of all the systems and the spiritual traditions that we come across in this journey are useful, because it refines the mind, it polishes the mind, so that it is able to work in coherence with the heart. And this is the secret to magnetism and attraction, because only when you are strong enough in your own self, in your soul, in your clarity of perception, will you have the ability to be seen. Because many people have these realizations, but they are not prepared to be seen, because in so doing, in expressing the true nature of our soul, of your unique soul journey, one has to confront all of their darkness on that path. And we find that everyone we meet is nothing other than a mirror for our own position in ourself. Everyone is constantly reflecting back to us the places in our heart that have not been examined, and the places in our mind that have not come into alignment with truth. And so the pursuit of truth is the quality of awakened mind, and the pursuit of love is the quality of awakened heart. So one can follow either, and they will lead to different realizations or different forms of enlightenment. But one will not feel whole until the entire energetic system of the body and mind and all channels of perception, all different bodies, your physical body, your astral body, or all of these different layers of yourself, until they are in alignment, you will always feel as though you are not quite sure where you are going, because you're not in line with your destiny. And once you start to find mind-heart coherence, you will see that your destiny becomes ever clearer. And all of the fears will arise on behalf of the elusive self that feels as though it has to conform and remain a part of the various structures of what we call society. And this is the beauty of the path, because one has to be a light unto themselves. Krishnamurti once said this: be a light unto yourself. And until we can do this, we are too scared to stand in our own truth. And it takes the correct point of maturity to be able to live one's truth and heart simultaneously. And the development of awakened mind is all to do with the ability to discern between what is dharmic and what is non-dharmic. And we have many teachings in these systems of what is the right path, what is the wrong path. And for some time, it is useful to follow those practices and those traditions, because we don't have the sufficiency in our own consciousness to see the clarity of the teachings themselves. So we accept, to begin with, that we are ignorant, and therefore we adhere to these certain practices of people who have walked the path before. But as your development is refined, you find that you are not anywhere near as dependent on external sources of wisdom, because your own light will become the wisdom, and you trust in this more. And this is the cultivation of faith. So faith and the strength of faith is directly correlated to the ability to manifest. Yet again, what we want to manifest is always in a position of ignorance, so long as it is based in something that doesn't quite sit right in our body. And when you're in your body, if you are sensitive enough, you will feel the calling of the soul in whichever direction it goes. Now, most people are not sensitive enough in their own body to discern where their intuition is calling them. And as you awaken more to your intuition, it will become very clear that this is the case, and one feels more light in themselves, both mentally and physically, and on all levels. One becomes lighter because they are lighter from themselves. The heaviness of self-judgment, self-criticism, self-hatred, all of these things begin to evaporate, and that is destabilizing for the sense of self, because it thrives its existence upon reference relationships, subject-object relationships, me and this. And as one comes into the quietness of themselves, this subject-object relationship begins to dissolve, and one realizes that the more one tries to do anything, the further one is away from themselves. And so this dropping into effortlessness becomes more and more natural, becomes more and more easy, because one realizes that it is nothing other than themselves that needs to be trusted. And that is not to say that one thinks they know more than another, because actually one learns in this process that everyone is on their unique karmic journey, and to take the position of feeling and believing as though one knows what someone else should do is a position of ignorance. And actually, if you project onto other people what you think they should be doing, you create karma for yourself, and it will stay and it will remain in your body as tension. And so you notice the more you stop projecting onto people and saying how they should be, what they should be doing, what they're doing right or wrong, then you, in that moment, whether you're aware of it or not, are taking on other people's karma. And if you're strong enough in the light of yourself, you can do that. You have the ability to take on other people's karma. But if you are not, and you haven't refined this ability, then you will find that you become very drained, because you are giving your light to people who do not have the clarity of perception, and so they are trying to get something out of you. But you begin to live in the place where you do not need anything from anyone. This doesn't mean as well, because there is always paradox, that if someone tries to give you something, you do not take it, because you don't live in dogma or some kind of very refined system of how you should be operating, although those structures still exist, but less and less so one relies on them, as one listens to the truth of their own heart. And so this is what magnetism, or the law of attraction, is really about. It is often not what you want to manifest that is important, and because they are all coping mechanisms for the inability to feel oneself. And once you begin to feel yourself, you notice that you do not need to manifest anything, that everything is taken care of by itself, that God or the universe or reality or truth or love, whichever name you like to give it, will take care of you. Out. all times. And you're able to trust more and more in your own heart. And by doing so, you feel a freedom and a peace that is not there before. Even when the nature of mind is revealed and the mind is awakened, does not mean that one is living their destiny. And actually, one will use many mental reinforcements and justifications in order to stay in egotistical functioning of self. And one realizes more and more that there's no need to depend on the mind for anything. And obviously this requires a lot of surrender and a lot of faith, which is cultivated over time. So there is a necessity to be patient. Be very patient. Do not rush your process. As soon as you rush, you think that what you're looking for is something other than here. And the truth is, what you are looking for, in whatever form of attraction or manifestation you are trying to do, will always eventually be revealed to be a lie. And if we cannot see that yet, it is only because we do not have the ability yet to get out of our own way. We're getting stuck in the way of ourself. We're blocking ourself. And as you open up more and more, your heart is open, more and more so. And you shut down your heart less and less because the strength of soul shines through you more. And so this is this law of attraction, this law of magnetism, manifestation. They are all aspects of the same whole, which is the ability to be whole, to be psychologically whole, to be spiritually whole, physically whole. All of these things to come into alignment with each other. It is alignment of self that is important. Most people are very distracted and pulled in many different directions, and this is okay. But as we come into ourselves in the quietness of our own heart, we see that we are less distracted, and the way is revealed moment to moment. Becomes ever clearer what one is here to do. One stops listening to the voices inside of judgment and insecurity and insufficiency and the external voices. And you will find that you become more magnetic through this process. People will want to speak with you. People will want to talk to you. People will be curious to know why you are the way you are. And in those moments, it is very important to learn how to protect your own light. Because if you do not have a good understanding of boundaries, you will leak out your energy into other people. And you will feel drained yourself. So you need to learn how to be in solitude more. And that's not from a place of running away from people. It is from the position of running towards yourself or loving yourself. You are more content in yourself to be as you are, to do what you want to do. And so long as you do not harm anyone and you have a respect for all life forms being of divine nature, you cannot go wrong. That will give you utter security. To just know that everyone you encounter is full of the same light as you. So there is no superiority and there is no inferiority complex there. Because you see that the light of me is the light of you. And you respect completely the unique karmic journey of every soul. You do not put anything on anyone anymore. And from this, you are free, and everything is given to you. But funnily enough, it is only given to you when you are in a position of no longer wanting it, because you know that you do not need it. You yourself are enough. And so all of the things you desire in your life, whether it's a car or the perfect family, to finish this amazing long-term project, yes, there is the necessity to navigate yourself in a certain way, and make sure you are using the ego as a tool to navigate. But ultimately, it only comes when you no longer need to do it anymore. You're not putting that pressure on yourself. There's no narrative of I should be doing this. Shoulds drop away and musts become more refined. When you say I must do this, it is not out of any external pressure or any internal pressure. It is because you start to know the calling of your own heart and you trust in it completely. And with beauty, it is revealed more and more so that it can be trusted. The more you give to your own heart and you trust in this calling, the more it is shown to you that this is something that you can surrender into. And so you surrender into silence, into stillness. You learn that you have nowhere to go, nowhere to be, and that there is no need to plan anything. No need to plan anything at all. And the ego won't be able to handle that. And it's not supposed to, because the ego is a tool to plan. We don't need to destroy planning, okay? But we realize that we don't need to plan. We use it as a tool when we need to. If you start a project and you need to have a vision of what it will look like, you plan. But you do not need to wake up and think about every single thing you do that day, because then you constrict yourself, you shut down your intuition, you go up into the upper chakras, and you become very heady, and you're not descended into the body. And so this is why it is necessary to descend the consciousness into the body. And you do this by practicing sensitivity of awareness throughout the entire body. Vipassana meditation is good for this. Or going in nature and feeling the wind on your skin, the sun on your eyes, the feeling of the ground beneath your feet. As you feel all these things more, your intuitive faculties open up, and it will start to work in coherence with your spiritual knowledge. Now, not knowledge as in all of these maps, they're useful, but knowledge as lived wisdom of your soul's truth. So that's what I've got to say about this law of magnetism, law of attraction. And I hope that this message resonated with those who choose to watch it, and that you would love to tune back in for my next video. I don't know when that will be. I'm going with the flow all the time. That's all we have to do. So thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.